Welcome back, guys. We are here after game number 2. It was looking really close there in the mid-game, but just one mistake kind of anticlimactically ended the game in one fell swoop, and Gen.G actually took it real fast.
Yeah, we were all kind of a bit caught off guard because it didn't feel like the ultra late game anymore, but usually when we see those picks in the late game, we think, oh yeah, 2 people are down, get a turret, get an inhibitor, get the Baron. No, 4 people are down, and the Yasuo doesn't really have a way to defend. So the Marksman comp rolls through, it closes down the game, and you can see why Gen.G always falls back on Marksman, because when you bet on a Marksman, if it pays off, it usually pays off in a really big way.
I mean, we look at this fight and you're looking at it and you say, okay, if Afreeca can get a good engage and put the Vel'Koz in a good position behind everybody, it's going to go their way. And essentially it did in a big way in this fight, right? It was really close though. Ruler tried to bring it back. His Varus play has been so clean for a long time, but in the end, did go very, very even. Basically, nobody died on the back foot here.
But it does feel like we had a great season of television and then it ended on an anticlimax, because this game was really feeling like it was going to table set to an epic team fight with a Vel'Koz outplay, a Varus outplay instead. A face check into 4 picks into the game being over was what we were treated to, so color me a little bit disappointed, but there were definitely some individual moments.
This is it.
That were so satisfying to watch. This one, though, Goro just makes a straight-up mistake. Game ends because he really wanted to kill a control ward that someone else could have done, that he could have warded and then tried to clear. Instead, the greed for that control ward wins Gen.G the game.
I mean, there was a Varus and a Rakan on the opposite side. They didn't have vision of the top side of the red side jungle either. It's kind of like a TV show where all of a sudden all the characters die for no reason. You wonder why. Probably the studio ran out of money to produce any other episodes, and that's the way they planned on ending the season anyway, and that's the way it ended for Afreeca. So just in 28 minutes, just one fell swoop, one team fight. They push it down mid and take the win.
Well, I've got good news, Varus. I got good news, Varus, and I got a good news, Valdez, because I've talked to the studios. We've commissioned one more episode to settle the beef. This is the bonus season that we're getting. One more episode. Let's see how it looks between Gen.G and the Afreeca Freecs. One more episode for week 5 of the LCK. 6 match days will end with our final game coming through. The MVP is probably going to have to be the big damage Varus. Let's see if there's any disagreement from the voters. There isn't.
Super easy to pick him up. 405, 100% kill participation. This guy, he's not going to stop playing the 80 carries. He's not going to be on the Swain on your composition. You throw that to some other lane. The Varus is looking stronger and stronger the more we see it, especially in the hands of a guy like Ruler.
It feels like the Leona didn't pay off for the side of Afreeca Freecs, but they're back on Blue's side. So getting one of those priority supports for Tucson becomes a lot easier. So Tucson should be buffed up in this game number 3, not dying every team fight like he was in game number 2. Let's see what happens here. Afreeca Freecs, again, the series has gone Blue's side. Afreeca have not won on red for a while. They get that return to Blue's side for game number 3.
Aiming didn't have the strongest game on the Yasuo, but then again, they didn't really build around him. So many other picks were banned to help make that Yasuo happen, but let's see what happens with Afreeca returning to the blue side.
Game 1 of the series, Morgana, Ezreal, Tahm Kench with the bans by Afreeca Freecs, trying to take away most of the standbys of Gen.G, the Ezreal, Tahm Kench lane. Their ultra favorite. I imagine they will not get 100% of that lane. See if the Ezreal will also be banned. Final ban here by Afreeca Freecs. Might consider leaving it open.
Swain gets banned this time around on the red side, so Gen.G switching it up. Decide, no, we will not give you that first pick Swain, which Afreeca played very well in game number 1. Let's take a look at what does get banned here. If anything changes after the Swain, no. Ezreal just once again.
Swain will not be coming through this time. That's the one adaptation in the ban so far. The other 2 big junglers, Talia is one that always gets considered, and the Nocturne as well. Both left available, might just be traded. If not abandoned, they just say, well, we'll give you the Nocturne for free, and the trade will have to be in other lanes. Remember, Shen also available to be paired with the Nocturne, if that's a way Afreeca want to go.
Yeah, they also left the Zoe available this time around, so I suppose, you know, what you were talking about before, maybe Spirit doesn't feel as confident on the Nocturne, or they go for something else. The Shen is left available. They're going to decide to pick that up and say that is more valuable than anything else right now.
They don't want to give away Nocturne Shen, but clearly their Nocturne priority isn't as high. They want to guarantee something for Tucson rather than giving Spirit the Nocturne that so far hasn't been necessarily an impressive pick, and seems like their read was pretty decent if there's not going to be a Nocturne contested. We can actually see Nocturne fall through picks and bans if it's not picked up by Gen.G. Who knows, maybe Spirit will return to the Kindred and pair it with the Shen, as last second the adjustment made on the Rakan. Definitely not wanting to give that one over to the side of Afreeca Freecs. Unlikely to be picked, but still a possibility.
Trundle comes through eventually. They're just thinking about that Rakan so much. Really wanted to pick him up first, steal it away. The Nocturne's there to take, but do you want to draft it in to the Trundle? Maybe go for something else like the Kindred, who's a lot better against the Trundle.
Yeah, I'd mentioned it, that Spirit is ultra confident on this pick, and the Nocturne's been misfiring a bit recently.
Yeah.
So it will be the Kindred, so probably going to be a bit of the temperature turned up on ambition this game. Recently, the Trundle matchup into Kindred has been going Trundle's way after being seen as a counter pick earlier in the split. Spirit has had a great split on the Kindred. He's been one of the best in the LCK, and that Zoe you already mentioned, with no Nocturne to fly in and shut her down during the laning phase, does feel like plain sailing for the Zoe right now. Will Fly return to the Galio that may have won in game number 2, but certainly wasn't a great individual game for Fly?
Well, certainly thinking about that Galio here, it seems like the obvious choice.
The other choice for him will be Orianna, but I thought that might be a later round pick than first round. People are starting to like this after Fly did it. Orianna into the Zoe, because when she tries to harass you with the portal jump, you just put the QW onto the original spot and you get a very decent trade. Now that Dissonance has been buffed, he also has 2 great ball carriers in the Rakan and the Trundle. So a little bit bold to go for a first round Orianna, but into this matchup, it's something that Gen.G have been pioneering.
This guy is here on his army break, decided to spend his time right at the Nexon Arena watching some LCK, just like all of you fine people watching us on the stream. Let's see what comes through in the ban phase here. Phase 2, Xayah going to be taken away from Xayah Rakan.
We just banned Xayah Varus if you're Afreeca Freecs, and that might definitely be a consideration unless Aiming has a pick he's ready to roll on against that Varus. 3 games in a row of Varus it would be for the side of Gen.G, and it'll be the same lane they were able to win with in game number 2. Seeing what the ban is here. Will it be the Varus? It will be. Forcing Ruler onto something else, the Lucian sticking out. The Kog'Maw has a lot of a front line, and Ruler does love his Kog'Maw, even if it hasn't been winning for Gen.G. But they actually just go utility. It's not against the Nocturne. That's where we usually see the Ashe come through from Ruler, but it's another initiation tool. They definitely have a bounty of them.
Really like the Ashe. I think it fits in really well with what they have already. You have that good front line to block the Zoe spells. The Kindred's going to have a hard time getting to your back line.
Speaking of blocking, they look at Gen.G and say, man, a Mundo would go pretty well with this draft, and they're trying to block Mundo by blind picking the Darius on the side of Afreeca Freecs.
The Nar's left available. They want to try to go ahead and take that up there, but let's see what else they'll consider, as they do have the counter pick for the top lane. Afreeca thinking about what to set their draft up with here.
Aiming's pick is what you're left with. Aiming going to be on the Vladimir this time. Kramer's played a bot lane Darius game, but this is trying to counter a potential Mundo pick. Well, Cuvée says thank you very much. It's going to go back to the Kennen. AD or AP is a consideration here. I think both of them have some level of validity. What does Afreeca Freecs do? Because they might actually try Darius bot lane, because Vladimir beats Kennen in the 1v1. This would actually be a last-second flex if they do it. Aiming is usually the recognized Vladimir player. Kane just playing it in the previous game. Let's wait and see what the decision is here by Afreeca Freecs.
Based on what they played, as you just mentioned, this would be the way they set it up. You know, Aiming is definitely a Vlad player, and Keen is certainly a Darius player. And that's what is going to come through here. They're not just going to try to get fancy. I like it here for Game 3.
Can get really tricky and pull those things off, but the Vladimir game in Game 2 was a loss, so not feeling like they want to return to it. And Ruler could potentially be all-in, of course. A Taunt Flash into Vladimir Hemoplague, and Ruler can only be so tanky. He's actually gone Cleanse, trying to respect that predictability. Well, Ambition's in the lineup. Orianna and Ashe represent better times as the game goes on. So Gen.G in with another scaling draft, just like their penchant for Protect the Kog'Maw. These usually go big or go home, and around 25 minutes, we'll probably know how this game is going for Gen.G.
I'm feeling the Gen.G hype. I think after watching this pick ban, I would have to favor them just based on their play. I think it's a lot cleaner, and they are more on the ball here. And I think they can play out this draft really, really well. Even though they lost Game 1, they were getting close to coming back with a kind of similar scaling composition. I would have to put the ball in their court.
I think, honestly, Afreeca Freecs can do a lot of damage on them in the early to mid game. Kuro will have big presence on the Zoe. The Kindred will be empowered. This could really be a big tussle. I'm actually 50-50.
Yeah, should be a really fun game regardless, and the countdown has started, guys. So let's jump into game number 3 of Afreeca versus Gen.G. I feel like Afreeca have the better cheerleader to start off the cheer, and then Gen.G have the stronger follow-up. That's my analysis of the fan cheer so far.
I'm interested in the analysis of this level 1, because Kindred level 1s are the most interesting, as they're all about Scuttle Crab pathing. Late invade possible for the Afreeca Freecs. Don't have teleport on Tucson, but could still see a play being made here. They know Ambition is hugging the top side.
No stopwatches for the side of Gen.G.
No complaints on that one. Cuvée has gone back to his prototypical on-hit cannon build. In this game, press the attack as the spoiler there. It will be Unsealed Spellbook. If it was going to be ability power. This wants to auto-attack Darius. After the nerfs, it's actually pretty line ball when it comes to the auto-attack range of the cannon and also the range of the pull, the apprehend coming in from Keen. So that's going to be a fun matchup to track, but range versus melee means mostly going to be good news for Cuvée in the laning phase, unless he takes a lot of free damage at level 1.
That's a really nice chunk on him already. Speaking of which, down on the bottom side, Ruler really trying to push forward that Ashe lane dominance alongside CoreJJ. Looks like aiming had to burn his cleanse to get out of that one.
Ruler actually took a lot of minion damage at the end to equalize the trade a little bit. Doran Shield versus Doran Blade does favor aiming in the regen war for now, but probably not going to be any all-ins onto Ruler anytime sooner. Cleanses are down, Ignite and Exhaust is down, only Flash is left. But level 2 popped by Ruler and CoreJJ.
Definitely means we could have some action down on the bottom side. Just like this, oh boy, getting the aggro from the turret. CoreJJ going to lose 80% of his health bar.
Ruler actually takes a turret shot as well, saying, don't worry, solidarity, all of us can take turret shots. Don't know about that one, 3 turret shots at level 2.
Yeah. Not the cleanest bot lane I've ever seen. Spirit going to lose in terms of the mark. Looks like that was down in the bottom side. For Ambition is going to hop the wall and actually looking to get aggressive into the jungle of Ambition. Will be able to steal the Krugs up on the top side.
Keen has been able to get so much more CS than you would expect in the Kennen versus Darius matchup because of the level 1, and now with Spirit jungling top side, that's only going to be more helpful, playing around the tempo of this Darius, and they're definitely threatening a turret dive that Cuvée seems to know plenty about.
This Cuvée actually just going to get the hell out of there. He just says, see you later. He's going to lose a bunch of CS because of this, but saves his own life. Just make sure he's safe.
No marks yet for the Kindred, so this is all about pressure for the Darius, not actually a big steal away play by the Kindred. Let's get his own snowball going with the marks, as we well know.
Waiting on that He's going to have a bit of a slower clear because he did invade and then spend a lot of time up in the top side and went over to his own grump just to secure that. But at least we'll have an easy path down into the bottom side. We mentioned how there is no cleanse, no exhaust down there. So might be looking for a play to help out his bottom lane.
Definitely the all-in time is the next minute or so before that cleanse is back up. Kindred can get into the back line. You have to think they have plenty of tools. Tucson is a noted taunt flash enthusiast on the Shen. Fly just wants to scale. He's on Orianna with cleanse in mid lane. He's going to have no agency in this game till much later. And Ambition says, can I blow a flash? The answer is no.
It's a really awkward lane now for Kuro because he just pushed it towards the Orianna. He's going to be able to come in here and actually clear that out and get a decent back. But the Trundle was there. I thought maybe Fly could pull off a freeze in the mid lane. You can see how annoying he's being, though, about stopping the back of Kuro, who just wants to get the hell out of here.
Wonder if there was going to be a bait for the Kindred to come around, but this is an item timing that Kuro can't afford to miss out on. Kindred doing a bit of counter jungling himself. Spirit put down a control ward to spot which side of the jungle Ambition is going to be on. Still no marks, though, for the Kindred.
How about a level 4 Cloud Drake down here? Might as well. They do have the position to do that right now. No vision, and actually really deep vision in the blue side jungle of Gen.G.
Probably going to have to be that early smite, but no question that Skirmish's Saber will be enough to pick this one up. Gonna get a couple of seconds help and maybe even hold on to the smite. Nope, we'll use it right at the end. No marks, but like you say, a Drake to show for the early game, and also Keen's decent CS in the top side is also a product of Spirit's good early game pathing on the Kindred.
He's doing really well. Sometimes it's the small things in the jungle. It's not always the effective gank that they get, but sometimes it's other stuff. Keen is level 6 here. Thankfully, Kive could stun him down.
Oh, if that Mark of the Storm didn't hit, that was a dead cannon. So
yeah.
Cannon gonna have to fully disengage and get the worst back timing. It's really hard to explain to the viewers how unlikely it is that Darius top lane gets a better back timing than a cannon. It's an AD cannon as well. But that's what's going to happen here. Pushes it in, backs away. A harassment ignite used by Kuro. That was one he picked up off the floor. Darius going better than expected, but otherwise, not much to speak about between the two games.
He's going to come in here again with another ignite. That's Zoe for you guys, right? He can charge up his W, get a bunch of his W stuff to hit him, and also double ignite. Even if you're losing the lane, you can come back with some good RNG.
Keen matches the Ninja Tabi buy with a Ruby Crystal on the way to no doubt a Phage for more movement speed. Spirit's back top side. We know there's a control ward to protect the cannon, and the Hawkshot will also give him plenty of information. Always a fun thing to do. I wish we could go back and examine things like Hawkshot use through the early game to understand what the objective is. When it's Nocturne, it's very clear what the objective is, to shut down and know which side of the jungle the Nocturne is on. And to some degree, that's the same with any jungler, but because Kindred is known for playing forward and back kind of interchangeably, it's always going to be an interesting kind of discussion as to where the right Hawkshot placement is against a Kindred.
Definitely feels like one for a VOD review or an analyst desk. Maybe someday we'll have an analyst desk. See if that ever happens. But it's part of the reason why the Ashe is really nice, especially in the early game. You just keep tabs on everything. It's a really good pick. Actually can survive really well, has good engage. Certainly top tier nowadays. And we'll see. Spirit, he does pick up the longsword, so we can tell he is going to be going for that warrior enchant. And is actually going to get a flash out of Ambition, who correctly is going to really respect the chase from a red buff Kindred at level 6.
It's bad timing from Ambition. Look at mid lane. Orianna was already 2/3 of the way through the recall, and Cleanse Orianna wasn't going to react first, so smart play from Spirit. He had a long leash to make an aggressive play. Topside doesn't have the control you might expect, so the Darius even could have started roaming down, so smart of them to pull away, but the flash is the price.
See how aggressive King gets in here. If he ever gets an apprehend onto Kive, you know it's going to go well. And now it's Spirit up here with red buff. We could be seeing our first blood up here. No teleport from anyone else on Gen.G, and Cube in a ton of trouble here. He's going to try to ultimate on in, but down he will go eventually. There it is. He needs an extra turret shot. They just burn Lamb's Respite just in case. But that will be first blood going over to Afreeca.
I think it's the right decision. Using it there, I believe he would have gone down to the turret shot. Definitely would have been within 20 HP. Speaking of 20 HP, we're seeing Gen.G just pile onto bot side, trying to get first brick here.
That's a nice little response. You know, you're not going to get the kill down on Aiming and Tucson, who have everything available, but at least we'll try to fight back with a lot of damage down onto the turret.
Gonna need Kindred to come bot side, which we see will be coming here just to be able to path around and stop Trundle from repeating the play. First blood goes to the top side. It goes to Kindred as well. Is able to finish the Warrior enchant from that particular goal. No boots though. Very difficult for Afreeca to set up a proactive play. No flash range is not going to be helpful in this, so I'm going to watch the replay of top side. We can do a bit of mental math and think about how much damage that last turret shot would have done. Cube walks up. I see the turret shot before. Think it would have killed him. So
yeah,
right move there. Ash Arrow goes wide, and Afreeca stick what has been an amazing early game for the Darius lane into a 5 CS lead and an assist.
I thought QV was just gonna fall over and die, but the stun actually came down onto Spirit before he got that third hit on his E, so wasn't able to execute QV and get the kill just there. Made things a little bit more interesting. You know, gets at least the cooldown out of the Kindred, which is a really long one at level 1. I think it's like 160 seconds. It's a big one. That Lamb's Respite at level 1.
I think you're on the money there. 150 or 160 are the numbers in my head, but there's a lot of long cooldowns in the meta right now. Nocturne, Shen, Kindred all have very long level 1 cooldowns on their ultimates. King continues to push up, lane going way better than expected. Remember that if Cuvée just falls into a trap where he's against a, let's say, Black Cleaver, Sterix Gage, Darius, and can't actually take laning trades, AD Cannon really only does the laning phase. We've seen it dunking on Mundos many times. This is a very different scenario. As speaking of scenarios, we've seen this before on the bottom side.
Ambition loves his lane Trundle. Team of Play comes out, Aiming says, you're not going to take the turret this time around. Down it does go. Redemption comes in as well from, looks like, the Zoe.
Basically, Gen.G say, hey, if we can get a ranged auto attacker into that Darius lane and a support next to him, that'd be nice to try to shut down the Darius and increase the pace of the game. Zoe.
This is a really interesting play. It looks like Kuro's gonna beat him in, and the cleanse comes in, but now Fly is on the run. Ambition's here with the pillar, knocks him closer, actually. Fly forced to flash. Over. Here's Spirit, though, hold the thought. Shen coming on in, the Lamb's Respite is not there, and down he goes, go. TP's coming in, and now it's Spirit's turn to try to turn it away. Oh, that snipe from downtown! Ruler says, I'm part of the fight too. Hello, here's my arrow to the face, and that's 3 kills to Gen.G.
The punishment is so insanely large under the side of Freecs. 3 deaths. This will be the mid lane turret as well. They were in control of the game. That control's gone.
Oh man, that was just a crazy series of events from downtown. Ruler says hello. Let's see how it all happened. Kuro trying to beat him in, lands the bubble, and you think this is going to go well for Afreeca.
Cleanse Flash available, though, for Fly. And while Keen knows he's going to register the Apprehend, Fly's next to a wall. He gets over it. Spirit says, I have the ultimate, I'll be fine. But he's getting cut by 2 people. Ruler examines the situation and says, I wonder if I can kill Kuro. He can.
Oh, right on the money, too. It wasn't even a lull hitbox or anything. It was just right in the face of the Zoe.
It also wasn't an accident. He was looking for a kill. That was not just someone's going to kite back into this. That was a prediction. Well played by Ruler. The last of the AD carries has had plenty of practice on that Ash Arrow.
He is really good on that. Spirit, bit of a mistake as well. It wasn't really necessary to go in there and try to flash kill him, right? Why not just return to the lane of Fly, who has either summoner, and then you could go on into him, or just, you know, use that passivity that you would get from the play to just go for an objective like a Rift Herald. It was a little bit too aggressive in my mind.
Well, let's examine the why. What did we say about Gen.G? They're just waiting for later. Orianna wants 3 items, level 16. They have a marksman, the enemy team does not. Gen.G have already opted into passivity and scaling. That's why Afreeca Freecs feel pressured to make the play. So many teams have gotten a lead with Kindred not being able to close, and we've seen the Kindreds fall behind and just straight up lose. Speaking of Kindred.
Oh boy, he's gonna get the smite on in to get the full health, but Exhaust comes down. There's the flash. Has Orianna near him though to help him out. Red buff even goes over to the Trundle, so not half bad.
Afreeca Freecs are feeling pressured to win this game at 2 items, win this game in the mid game. But maybe the mid game is gonna be never existing. Maybe we're gonna see Gen.G hit their late game itemization at the same time that Afreeca Freecs getting ready to turn on to their team fights, and that is the frustrating duality of playing this Kindred. You feel pressured to make proactive plays, but sometimes you can't back them up.
You can tell also that Spirit was really looking for that Rift Herald. Maybe not right then, but he cleared out all the vision, cleared out the plant as well to hop over the wall and cleared out the vision, but then the ward continued to go down. Looks like Cuvée was able to place it down there, and you got Corey JJ up here too. Kindred definitely one of the fastest Rift Herald takers, so you got to be careful about that.
And now Gen.G get the lane assignment they've been waiting for. Already talked about how. Damage registers, but still goes through. Already talked about how you want to get the cannon out of the lane, which hadn't gone well, and Cannon's auto attack range now short enough that Apprehend can answer him many times. Not with a 600 range on Ashe. Ashe will be able to stay safe. You may see aggression from the Zoe. Remember, Zoe's items here are actually way behind. He still doesn't have Ludens at 15 minutes into the game.
You definitely want that by this time. Fly, on the other hand, does have that. He's having fun in the mid lane, just not getting killed and getting 2 assists on the backside of that fight. And now Gen.G's looking to clear out the vision at the Rift Herald. If they could take it when they're strong and deny it from a Kindred, that would be really fantastic. Gives them a lot of control here, and it takes away any pushing that Afreeca could try to do to accelerate this game. They're at least gonna deny it for now.
Look at the minimap and you try to just be a product of the control wars, and you say, seems like Gen.G are in control of this game, and that is something that the Afreeca Freecs draft cannot abide by. I imagine they have to make a high roll play very soon to try to turn this game to their lead. Baron hasn't spawned yet. Even the Rift Herald not actually taken at this point in the game. But Gen.G just trying to play Gen.G with ambition style, as Spirit does get caught.
Okay, there it is. The knockup comes in too, and Spirit is going to get extremely low, but this time not CC'd into the Lamb's Respite. But they take the jungler out of the fight, essentially. Now they're looking for the Rift Herald.
Gonna have control over this, full disengage by the enemy jungler. Consider when the team fights come in, the Orianna's gonna see the Lamb's Respite as a scene of the crime for a 3 or 4-man shockwave.
Oh yeah.
If you can hold on to that ability. Feels like you got the double kill here with the Orianna because you're able to trivialize Kindred in team fight, who's a squishy damage dealer, who's gonna be caught in mid-range, and it's good against the portal jump plays in the laning phase from the Zoe. High value Orianna on the way, and Gen.G just trying to roll down. They don't care if they're being matched by the Vladimir Shen. They're just happy if they can continue to scale up in this game.
Kindred just really looking to find some mark, something on the map, but another one gets denied. In the river by Ambition, he's behind on CS, he's behind on kills, and behind on levels. Spirit going to be a Kindred from behind. See if he can actually have a big impact as the game goes on.
History suggests no. We call them welfare Kindreds for a reason. Ruler and Core JJ push up, and aiming already starts very early with the Sanguine pull.
So much respect shown. They want nothing to do with this duo in the top side. Ruler just crazy with this 80 carries, with this marksman up in the top side. And getting that damage down, they will now push in and try to accelerate their lead and try to take over this game. They'll be looking for their 3rd turret, actually. 3-0 in terms of turrets to the side of Gen.G. That welfare Kindred is going to have a flash away. He does not have the Lamb's Respite, at least. Kuro's there, not going to pop forward. Good control, decides, okay, we cannot fight right now, but that means that Gen.G will continue pushing in.
Shelly will continue to do damage onto that inner turret, the poke onto Ambition. It's not a Zoe that's had a good early game, so it's going to be pretty much a non-factor. Aiming comes up and farms. This is a struggle. Really feels like Afreeca Freecs can only win if Darius gets the perfect fight with the Trinity Force. Trinity Force auto ult. Trinity Force auto ult. That's the only sort of team fight you can see them winning. Look at those trades. Can you even call them trades?
You called it right when he picked the Orianna, and well, there it is about 23 minutes later, I'd say.
Orianna versus Kindred and Zoe is high value Orianna. So BDD on the Orianna in our first series. Plenty of Orianna coming to the LCK. Some people don't enjoy it. The Orianna calls are there. But Orianna, one of the most satisfying champions to cast because very high variance champion in a team fight. If the shockwave hits 3, you can shout about it. If it misses, you can criticize. The skill expression on Orianna is very clear.
Fly already did a nice amount of damage, but Ruler is the big dog on the Rift tonight as he is looking for his second MVP. Out here with his Ashe. Aiming, looking for the flank here at level 11, but Trundle pretty good at denying those, says, nah, you're not coming in here. And at this point, do you really want to start the fight? Aiming, I feel like he needs, 2 or 3 items to really just try to chunk down Ruler before he can do much in these fights.
Here's a question. How many marks do we think the Kindred has? I'm going to say maybe 1, because actually the Rift Scuttle is marked, so we know it's 1 or 2. It could also be 0. So he definitely has less than 3 marks here, does the Kindred.
I think he has 1.
I think it's probably 1, but it could actually be 0.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Fly. He does a nice bit of chunking damage. They were trying to hand that one over to Kuro. The answer was absolutely no. As Fly dominating the mid lane so far in many different facets.
It's been a worrying amount of games recently where Keen's done everything perfectly and his team has lost. Think of the GP games versus BBQ, game 1 of the last series, and then now game 3 here. He's had about the best time a Darius has ever had against on-hit cannon, and yet seems to be quickly going into a loss. So I'm sure there's going to be a bit of frustration shown there. Cuvée just pushes. What else is on-hit cannon to do? If he draws away Keen from a team fight, he's probably won the team fight for the side of Gen.G.
We were looking at that lane for an extended period of time because, it's not tank versus tank, but again, the cannon will try to keep the Darius at range. If the Darius doesn't land an apprehend, it's just push the wave. Wasn't much else happening on the Rift since then, but Gen.G, they have a really solid lead. They would love to just ride this one out into the sunset and say, hey guys, we'll see you in about 20 minutes and you're not gonna win a team fight against us. So Afreeca, they need to do something. They need to do it fast. I'm just not sure what that something is. It's not bad.
Applied gold lead despite having the AD cannon to me is probably about 8,000 gold, even though it's only 2,500. This Gen.G comp that was built for scaling is going to be feeling so comfortable taking this into the late game, and that is also the Gen.G way. Keen sticking around, saying maybe I can get a cheese kill here.
There's one way to do it. Hopefully the Rune King will shut that down for now.
Actually queued onto the minions, try to get the rage passive to catch up for the apprehend, in case you're wondering.
Here's another Afreeca Freecs member that loves hiding in the bush. And Ruler might be in a bit of trouble here. Not even going to go for that one. Is going to flash over the wall and aiming, looking to go in, but Ruler trying to turn it around is not able to in the end. And aiming alongside Tucson will finally be able to 2v1 the Ashe.
Nice play by the side of Afreeca. Ruler thought he was in the free and clear, and with his hawk shots and summoners up, you could understand why, but he was not. Well taken down, can't be turned into a Baron for the Afreeca Freecs. It's only going to be a single kill, as Keen is just having this hide on bush game here, doing his best Faker impression.
Yeah, at least he's not hiding on the bench. He's definitely going to be starting every game. Haven't seen Summit in any games, I think, actually. I don't remember him playing in any of the games. That is their substitute top laner, for you guys who are wondering who I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were trying to clarify who Faker was.
Oh.
People have also been
haven't
asking
seen
who that
him in a
was.
while. I don't know what's going on with him.
This is what we call a jump scare onto an Ashe. I don't know about using the double summoners. I know he got the call that his teammates could be there, but I think he was going to be done one way or the other.
Tell that Rakan was almost there. If he was able to live for just a moment with his lifesteal against the Vladimir, maybe then. They know the Vladimir is looking for farm right now. But either way, Gen.G feeling strong. They want to take down another turret. This will be fantastic for having vision in the mid lane, map control, and also a little bit of extra gold. Not even the worst kind of seeds because, you know, they're not playing the Galio this time around. It's the Orianna into the Zoe.
Their siege is so reliable compared to other comps, Valdez, because Chandor walks up, puts down a pillar, the Orianna ball goes onto the Ashe, and you're going to get at least 3 or 4 auto attacks every minion wave. The wave clear is decent from the side of Afreeca, not fantastic. The Zoe doesn't have as much time to line things up because of the threat of the ultimate coming through, so just roll down the lane and eventually good things will happen on the side of Gen.G.
JJ currently also hiding on Bush. Not sure what it is about this game, but we've been seeing a lot of that.
Feeling pretty excited about Cuvée going for the Rage Blade. He's building completely for lane and saying, I'm going to keep Darius over here or take structures. And I think that's the right call from the AD Cannon. In Metas past, the AD Cannon build would include a Hex Drinker and a Frozen Mallet, but we don't see those anymore. It's just full for lane these days. Also how Ruler has loved to approach all of his top laners. He was the first to go really heavy in damage on the Gnar to try to make those picks work.
We got this next Drake coming up here. Gen.G already do have one Mountain Drake. And I don't think that Afreeca can really come in and contest this. But you can see members are getting into position. They're thinking about it. Keen's also hiding on Bush once again. We'll see what they try to do in terms of contesting this. Getting Ambition would be fantastic to start this off. Really awkward spot for him. Is going to flash. Oh, but there you go. Trying to go in here is Keen. Is going to get knocked up in a huge shockwave into the back line. Here's Cuvée too. Going to stun everybody up, and the Lancer's fight is good. And look at the Darius on the front line doing huge amounts of damage. Ruler, though, is kiting everybody. Nearly takes out Kuro. Is not able to in the end, but Afreeca able to win the fight. A fantastic Lamb's Respite keeps them all alive.
And it baits in Cuvée as well. Even though he does big damage, he also falls low, and in the back end, the apprehend from Keen. Team fight Darius was fantastic in this fight. Watch the replay and how it all develops. This is a level 16 Darius, who is the only person who's had a good early game on the side of Afreeca. Ambition. This is the second time in 3 games he has gone for just far too bold a play. Cuvée sees the low health members and thinks, I can kill the Darius, this is my time. It's not his time. The apprehend is delicious from the Darius. Beautiful play from him.
Scrumptious.
Not often you would say that about an apprehend, but wow, the Lamb's Respite into the Darius apprehend. Beautiful stuff from Afreeca Freecs.
Oh boy. Well, Gen.G definitely bunched themselves all up for one big Darius team fight, that's for sure. That's definitely how not to play into Darius, you guys are wondering, but as you mentioned, the bait in because of the Lamb's Respite that kept everybody alive was looking really tempting for Gen.G, who are ahead, so you can't really blame them for that. Now they're thinking about this Mountain Drake once again. Definitely a lot of summoners down this time around. We'll see what they want to go for. The only flash available will be Ruler in about 10-15 seconds, so they gotta wait for that one, I think.
Gen.G just want to play ARAM style. They'd much rather play in a long lane with a lot of room to disengage. Those narrow corridors where they were opting into last time should be a very good warning shot about what Afreeca can do if Darius can reach a fight. Finally, 2 marks have been completed as we now see a camp further up marked. Gen.G onto the Mountain Drake.
Trying to hop over the wall there with Spirit, is not going to get the smite as it goes over to Cannon. Oh, look at this, the flank though, 5 members coming on in, but they get the damage onto the Darius. He can't do anything. Aiming is going to go into and give his life away. Tucson as well, everybody baited into that flank. Does not work out, and Gen.G get the second Mountain Drake and 3 kills to boot.
Well, sometimes you give it, sometimes you take it away. Big mistake from Keen. There's no way for Spirit and Kuro to combine with the flank he was trying to pull off. It's too easily diagnosed by Gen.G. They are still 5 men strong, and now they want the Baron.
Yeah, definitely not the fight they were looking for. They would love to group up for Lamb's Respite and get a similar one to the fight previous to that one, but they give away a Mountain Drake. 3 kills and a Baron, and Gen.G looking unbelievably strong and favored to win this last game.
Definitely in a huge position of power. The Baron just confirms it even further. Double Mountain Infernal. With the Baron buff, there's going to be some easy turrets. Watch where Darius is when the fight begins. When all this poking and stealing happens, he actually teleports into the backline. He has the ward. Gen.G know about it already, so they turn straight onto him. And even with Shen ultimate, come on, Keen, this can never work. You feel like Keen learned the wrong thing from the previous fight that Afreeca were able to basically do much better than expected in. He thought and learned from that, I'm really strong, I can close the fights. And while that is true, they got positioning in a team fight they never should have gotten, as Gen.G fought in a narrow passageway and opted into the Lamb's Respite. This time, Keen can't do any damage, the Darius is taken down, and Gen.G find themselves 6,000 gold ahead.
I mean, nobody else on Afreeca was ready for that one. Spirit had just hopped the wall and taken damage trying to steal the Drake. Aiming took a big blast to the face from the Orianna. Nobody was ready to engage, and he definitely should have canceled it. Another bit of a mistake from Afreeca. This is going to leave the coaches scratching their heads.
And now all they can do is Rambo all in, 6,000 gold behind, into a team fight they probably don't win, because ball onto the Ashe and turret damage so easy as, all right, here we go.
The flank coming in, they really want to get Ruler, but the Vladimir just disappears off the map, and Ruler is totally safe. A huge shockwave again, and Gen.G making a statement this time, saying, we are better than Afreeca, and we deserve to be in second place. They're going to take the team fight and take the win.
And Gen.G are going to go 9-3 and join Griffin on the same match score. They're going to kill on the Zoe. They're going to win, and it's well-deserved for Generation Gamers.
Domination here in game number 3. That's all you can call it. Ruler and Court JT extending a high five to each other, saying they really deserve to have that one. The duo played fantastically down there. There you have it. Certainly well-deserved. Afreeca, definitely a series to scratch your heads about. A couple of big mistakes from Kuro and Keen back-to-back in games 2 and 3. That shouldn't be happening for a team that we thought would maybe even make the finals again here in summer.
And a big vote of confidence for the Orianna pick from Fly. It's his second game on the pick. He was the first of summer season. He will be far from the last, even though he has the last laugh in this game. Their fundamentals are strong as a team, and teams are trying inventive strategies to stop the fundamentals of a marksman and a control mage. This time they come up short, because if you don't pull off the execution early enough, if the scaling comp gets ahead, these are the results so often as the Vladimir goes down, pool or no.
And aiming, he was one of our undefeated Vladimir players. He lost in their last series 1, so he was 4-1, but now 2 extra losses on the Vlad. So no longer is his Vlad untouchable. He's 4-3. We've seen top teams take him down the ass, especially in the bottom lane. You can see what they were doing from level 1 even to shut down the Vladimir and make sure he couldn't get any big flanks later on to the game, to make sure he could not scale. And Ruler's Ashe, man, I think he 100% deserves the second MVP here for game 2. I don't care if we have a solo interview. The snipes on the arrows and his play in general. Only got caught once. It's hard not to get caught when you're playing Ashe. Still made it look like there was a chance for himself to live.
Well, I'm on the Fly hype train, so I think one of us are going to be happy with the result of the MVP. Generation G, Gen.G, definitely deserving the victory here.
Generation G.
Generation G. I think it's technically Generation Gaming.
Yeah.
I said Generation Gamers. It's the same thing. There were some good moments for Afreeca Freecs. Keen's laning phase was very clean. The team fight where they were able to corral Gen.G, they did way better than expected. But for Afreeca Freecs, there were too many moments like this where they'd flash over the wall with a Shen ultimate. That wasn't a smart move. The Keen flank, that didn't work either. The Ashe arrow snipe, that was pretty sick from the member there from Ashe. And Gen.G just deserved the victory, Valdez. There's really nothing else to say about this game. They had the scaling comp, they won early, they won late. Now they win a series and join Griffin on 9-3.
This was the big team fight. You know, this was the moment of hope for Afreeca where you're like, oh boy, I could see this composition, if they get a couple of more team fights like this, just running over them. Imagine it going in their way if you got Darius and Vlad doing stuff like this, but even that one was close, and this was the big mistake. Trying to go behind 5 members, they turn on him and blow up the Darius immediately.
There's so much CC on the Gen.G side and shielding that you wonder how they think these plays are going to work. Every time they tried the all-in, which to their credit they had to do, they would have lost the game anyway. because of the superior siege. But it's just too easy. Lamb's Respite is not an answer against the Orianna Shockwave. Well-deserved victory for Gen.G. Damage numbers here, Fly and also Ruler shouldering the burden of the damage. 12,000 damage to Darius in the lane can be kept to one side. Gen.G deserving winners in game number 3.
Yep, smashed him here in game number 3. It wasn't like where it was an even game in game number 2 and one mistake did it. It was very one-sided in this one.
And Gen.G are now just 2 game score, no match score, both 9 and 3, but 2 game score away from actually going in front of Griffin. Griffin are 19 and 9. Gen.G have played more games than 19 and 11, but it's only those 2 game victories that separate Griffin and Gen.G, and Gen.G have found a way to stabilize what seemed like a season that was slipping away from the squad a few matches ago.
These guys, you know, some points along the way, they're going to have trouble. It's a really competitive league that we do have over here. It's no surprise. Even Gen.G can drop games, but definitely solidifying themselves, as you mentioned. And another guy over here, Fly, coming on in. We weren't sure what to expect from him, but he has been really comfortably joining this Gen.G lineup and giving them the reliability in the mid lane they always wanted.
And performing on the Orianna. Back in his times in the LCK, he would play it on Longzhu, he would play it on KT, and not look convincing on meta picks like the Orianna. He brings back the Orianna and actually finds performance on a champion that I think that will be really important as the season goes on.
So guys, I'll hand it over to G-Sun to help out with the translation this time around. We'll be back in a bit.
This is Ji-Sun with their interpret translations, and today we are joined by Ruler and Fly from Gen.G Esports. Congratulations on the win. Thank you. It was a very meaningful victory for you guys. And the competition between the top teams are so intense right now. So it was good for you guys to pick up the win in the end. How do you guys feel? It was a very important match for us. I'm really happy that we picked up the win. I think we should keep on practicing. What about you, Fly? Yeah, it could be a big challenge for us, but we did it well, so I'm really happy. Well, you guys are always coming back with better performance every match. So all of the people say you guys have so much solid teamwork and a very consistent playstyle. So what are your thoughts about that? I think we all have very strong faith in each other. In every game, yeah, I think we are strongly believing in each other. The Fly, I think you are always contributing so much in your team. You know? What are your thoughts about that? Oh, really? Well, I don't really know. I'm just trying to do my best. Well, when I'm playing games, I actually don't know how the things are going. But yeah, hearing those kind of compliments really makes me happy. I think a lot of fans are out here agreeing with the compliments. My Ruler is sweating a lot here. Well, I heard that you guys turn the AC off when you guys are playing game. Yeah, when you turn on the AC, our hands might get like a little bit numb and really frozen. So yeah, you just want to keep it warm in the gaming booth.
이렇게 손이 어는 거가 더 중요하다. 이제 손이 얼지 않기 위해서 더운 날씨에도 에어컨도 끄고 경기를 펼치는
Even though in the middle of the summer you guys are playing in the gaming booth without the AC, then that's really enthusiastic. So moving on to games, I have a question about the Gen.G's pick and bans. Well, many teams prefer to lock in Rakan and Ezreal or Xayah. But you guys went with the Varus and Ashe.
그런 약간은 불안정한 조합이잖아요.
Well, that like some sort of a consistency or stability. But do you have confidence to playing marksman on your own? Well, sometimes I feel a bit worried, but I just try my best to not die and put a lot of damage as much as I can.
압박을 잘 해주면 그런 시식이 상관없다라는
I guess Ruler is a little bit afraid of playing marksman, but he kind of proved himself with his plays. Well, you guys did lose the first set, but what kind of feedback went back and forth?
네, 플라이 선수. 우리 한번 로고를 앞쪽으로 살짝 돌려볼까요? 예.
저는 일단
For me, after losing out the first game, I was a little bit irritated, so I wasn't speaking anything. But our coaching staff gave us some feedbacks, so I wasn't listening to them.
그런 승부욕이 2, 3세트에서의 플라이 선수의 멋진 모습을 보여주는 원동력이
Well, you did come back with great performance in second and third game. Yeah, it is natural as a pro gamer to be irritated with losing out a game.
확실히 3세트에서 플라이 선수 날아다니는 모습 많이 보여주신 것 같은데 정말 이제 경기 내용적으로 좀 들어가 본다면
So moving on to games, there were a lot of highlights to go through.
장면들이 있었을 텐데 가장 아쉬웠던 장면이 있다면 어떤 게 있었을까요?
What was the saddest moment in game 1?
룰러 선수 한번.
사실 지금 1세트에 뭘 했는지 사실
Well, I actually don't remember much about the first game,
그래서 용준이 형한테 넘겨야 될 것 같아요.
so I'm gonna pass it over to Fly.
준이 형은 알고 계신가요?
기억이 안 나시면 제가 한 말씀 드리겠습니다. 나시나요?
Do you remember?
네,
I do.
말씀해 주세요.
그 저희가 바텀에서 이제 킬을 많이 먹고 초반에
Well, we did pick up a lot of kills in bot lane, but we were out of a lot of spells. So when they ganked me in mid lane, I just died. So I think that was one of the most saddest moments in first game.
플라이 선수였는데 상대 바텀이 없어진 거를 룰러 선수와 코어 장전 선수가 콜을 해줬나요, 안 해줬나요? 지금 플라이 선수가 할
So did the bot laner tell you that the opponent bot laner was missing in action?
이런 식으로만 해가지고 이제 당했던 것 같아요.
Well, I think we were kind of lacking in giving him more alerts. I think we should repair on that.
강한 비드급에 보여주는 역시 젠지라는 말이 절로 나오네요.
그렇습니다. 이제 아쉬운 얘기 들어봤으니까 2선 세트 잘한 거
So
한번
let's move on to game 2.
장민철 씨.
일단 사실 양 선수 모두 2, 3세트 너무나 잘해줘가지고
So both of you guys performed really well in game 2 and 3.
2세트 MVP를 받은 룰러 선수가 3세트에서 보여준 애쉬의 신궁.
와 진짜.
Well, I wanna talk about the snipe on Ashe to Zoe.
화살을 쏴서 잡아냈었잖아요. 예측한 건가요?
Was that all predicted?
인터뷰 신의 개시?
사실 예측한 거긴 한데 요새
Yeah, I did predict it.
연습할 때 애쉬궁이 되게 잘 맞더라고요.
And during the practices game, I used to land a lot of Ashe ult nowadays, so I have huge confidence right now.
여기서 일단 플라이 선수가 상대방을 잘 빨아들이면서 좀 깊게 만들었죠. 이것도 계산된 거죠, 플라이 선수?
What about you, Fly, at that moment?
죽여버린다고 생각하고 그냥 킬을 넣었어요.
Well, I was doing my damage to take one down.
그래서 좀 강한 말투가 나오고 있고 이제 곧 화살이 날아옵니다.
So here comes the arrow.
아 여기서 진짜.
그냥 취하네요.
Well, what a play.
본인의 그것에 그거 취한다.
아무래도 게임을 너무 잘하다 보면은 자아도취가 필요합니다. 그래야
Well,
잘하는
yeah, feeling confident about yourself is a good thing as a pro player.
오면은 더 잘 되는 게 있잖아요.
Do you feel like all the players were connecting so well today?
사실 1세트에 너무 쫄아서
Well, game 1, I was playing a little bit too passively.
왔네요.
네, 그러게요.
But
오늘
yeah, I
진짜
had good
3세트
feeling for second and third game.
너무나 강렬했습니다. 그래서 2, 3세트에서 모두 두 선수가 멋진 모습 보여줬는데 이제 저는 궁금한 게 이런 인터뷰를
Well, my question is that Ruler, in a previous interview,
정통 그 원딜을 고수하느냐
you said you are insisting to play marksman
하는 거다라고 할 수 있을
because
텐데
you always come up with
차라리 난 다른
good win rate, and also you said you want to focus more about mastering the traditional marksmen. So what are your comments about your own performance on marksman?
좀 발전한 게 보이나요?
사실 제가 B1D를
To be honest, I did practice a lot of bruiser in bot lane. It did went well, but I prefer marksman champions on my side. Yeah, I think I feel a bit more comfortable.
이제 오늘 이런 모습을 보니까 계속해서 진짜 원딜 하셔도 될 것 같아요. 보고 싶네요. 네.
감사합니다.
네, 이제 플라이 선수 3세트
So,
얘기도 한번
Fly,
해볼까요?
let's talk about game 3.
선수가 경기가 잘 풀릴 때 특히나 이번 3세트 같은 경우에 상대방의 갱킹을 전혀 허용하지 않는 이런 단단한 라인전 운영
You played
모습을
so
보여주거든요.
consistent and
사실
stable in
LCK
mid lane
내에서
during the
네버나의
laning phase.
정글러들이 노리는 이 미드 라인을
A lot of
잘 흘려내기가
junglers
어려운 부분이
were
많아요.
trying to gank
그렇잖아요.
you, but you survived all of the tries.
솔랭에서도 팬분들이
So
미드
is there any
라인을 할
tips
때
for
정글
playing
차이가
mid lane
좀
to
많이
save?
나와요. 어떻게 눈치채고 좀 정글을 잘 흘려낼 수 있는지.
그거는 솔랭에서는 일단은 좀
Well, in regards of solo queue, it's really hard.
게임 아니면은 그 방법이 하나
But
있는데 정글로
well, there's a one way. Play duo game with jungler.
정글이 어디 있다고 대충 얘기를 해주니까
Well, so the enemy your duo can tell where the enemy jungler will be.
정글 위치를 파악해주는 브리핑이 너무나 좋다.
So I guess ambition gives you a lot of calls about the enemy jungler, right?
그건 좀
앰비션
I don't really know.
밉상이신가 봐. 예. 친해진 거 맞죠?
좋아서 그래요.
아,
I like
좋아하는
ambition.
거죠? 맞아요. 너무 친하니까 또 이렇게 장난을 치신 것 같습니다. 뭐 이제 경기적인 내용에 대해서는 더 있을까요?
Is there any more questions for the players?
꺼내 들었잖아요. 제가 보기에는 상대방
you played
거의 다
Orianna
찍고 좀
against
이기적인
Zoe.
딜교환을 하는 그런 장면에서 오리아나가 공으로 좀 그 궁극기 위치를 미리 파악을 해주면서 딜교환을 이득 보는
Well,
장면이 계속 나왔어요.
I think Zoe was trying to play a little bit aggressively, but you kind of went really safe with Orianna. So was that all intended?
라인전이 원래 그 별풍선 나오는 거에 따라 다르거든요. 그 조이
So I think the laning phase depends on the W of Zoe.
그래가지고 이제 제가 라인전 그냥
But he didn't pick up any good spells, so I was able to kind of lead in the laning phase.
운에 따라서 그날의 라인전 승부가 결정되는데
So it kind of depends on the luck, right?
운이 없었기 때문에 오늘은
And
내가
Kuro was
라인전에
a little bit
이길 수
unlucky, you
있었다라는
mean?
플라이 선수의 말씀이었습니다. 네.
아,
Exactly.
정확했어요? 아유, 막 웃으시는데.
네, 포장을 잘해주시네요.
네. 아, 장미전에서 계속해서 발전하니까.
발전해야죠. 항상
Well, I'm trying to get better with the Sport TV interview and also casting.
자, 패스하도록 하고요. 네, 많은 분들께서 또 계속해서 이제 인터뷰를 통해서 이렇게 이야기 나눠보면 좋을 것 같습니다.
Yeah, we are looking forward for more interviews with these new interviewers in Sport TV. And lastly, your next opponent will be Katie Rolster on Tuesday.
한숨이 나오시나요?
아니요, 저 한마디 하고 싶어서.
I have something to say.
한마디 하시죠.
동빈이 형, 우리
Score.
그 스마이트 그렇게 써줘.
Please
잘 부탁해.
use your smite just as you do when you're facing us.
인사까지 해주셨고 룰러 선수도 한 말씀 해주시겠어요?
Any last message, Ruler?
그냥 하던 대로만 하면은 충분히 이길 상대라 생각해서
I think we can
열심히 연습하고
win,
열심히 준비하면
defeat
될것
them
같아요.
if we do it just as we do in normal or practice games. So I'm feeling very confident.
순위가 내려가는 상황이었는데 오늘의 승리로 인해서 이렇게 2위까지
So you guys are remaining in second place.
이제 팬분들이 또 많이
And
와주셨습니다.
there are a lot of fans out here supporting and cheering for you guys.
팬분들께도 한 말씀
Any last message for them?
플레이 선수부터.
여러분들,
Hello, everyone.
진짜 이 더운 날씨에
Thank you for coming out here in this
찾아와 주셔서 정말
crazy heat
감사하고요.
summer.
저희 다음 KT 전
I'm gonna make sure to perform well in our upcoming match. So please come to cheer us in our next match against Katie Rolster.
자, 룰러 선수도요.
And Ruler?
되게 밖에 나오기 싫은 날씨인데 이렇게 많이
I know the weather is really crazy, but thank you so much for coming out for us.
저 열심히 해서 잘하는 모습
I'm gonna make sure to show improved performance in the upcoming match. So keep supporting for us. Thank you.
다시 한번 축하드리겠습니다. 앞으로 이제 오늘만큼 그리고 오늘보다 더 멋진 활약
This will be the end of the
기대하도록
interview
하겠습니다.
with
자,
Fly
오늘
and
Gen.G
Ruler from Gen.G Esports, picking up 2-1 victory against Afreeca Freecs, and I will pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for the wonderful translation. As always, it's always good to have some cheeky bants as well from the player. Score was called out big time by Fly. Says, I hope you use your smite as you normally do.
Remember, of course, that final. That was Fly in the mid lane, scores 2 HP smite. Was the reason that Katie Rolster did not win 2016 summer in many people's eyes, and of course failed to go on to Worlds that year. So Gen.G versus KT is getting pretty damn hype, Valdez, and we have Griffin Kingzone in 2 days' time as well. So when it comes to playoffs implications and potential best-of-5 previews, have we got a week for you next week?
Next week's going to be a good one. It's going to start off on Tuesday, Griffin versus Kingzone and Gen.G versus KT. If you're not watching that one, well, you better have something really important to do. Because
then come back on Thursday.
Yeah.
Actually, Thursday's pretty sick as well.
Thursday's good. It's a couple of really good days that you cannot really miss, guys. Those are the ones to watch. Happy to be doing Tuesday. That'll be a fun one. We'll be watching on Thursday. Papa gets to do all the good matches.
But I also have the 3 best-of-3 Super Wednesday come-ins if you're in North America. If you want to be up nice and early, you can come and watch that one. It's going to be a fun one. The LCK doesn't have much time to go, Valdez.
It doesn't really. We have the music still going on here. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, it looks like the Korean part was just doing some extra stuff with Suhyun. It's nice to see her have a bigger role, by the way. The interview is a new thing we're doing over here just to test something new. I think MC was the best AC we've had all year.
No question, Valdez. And we don't have to make silly faces anymore. I know some people are sad about that. Korean fans are probably happy. I think we've been distracting from the pro players for quite a while.
I got my poggers in right before the end. The last time I actually retweeted that. That was a good one. Got my last opportunity. I made the best of it. And maybe,
I have a question for you, Valdez.
Future we can do
if we have time for this question. Who's the best team in the LCK? I know.
Griffin?
I don't think many people would have said Gen.G, but how many more win? If they win on Tuesday, is it Gen.G?
You know, maybe, actually. I think Gen.G, you know, they had a little bit of a road bump, but then they come up against these really strong teams, and they're just so consistent, you know, whereas Griffin, they definitely do have some obvious stuff that they have to work out still, whereas Gen.G, you know, a couple times you lose, but then every time you win, you look that strong. It's hard not to call them the best at this point.
It does feel like the 4 potential candidates for the win in terms of LCK Summer play on Tuesday, so don't miss it.
You do not want to miss that, guys. It's going to be a fantastic one, maybe the best of the entire season this time around. But thank you once again for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.
I see you always wanna go somewhere to waste your golden soul. I see the smile you never show. Oh no.
It's been many days, many ways misled, knowing that I'm tiptoeing on both sides of the fence, trying to figure it out, but I'm living in doubt. So scared one day that your grace might run out, cause I'm so far from perfect, so close to worthless, feeling no good for worship, trying to understand this life that you purchased. Am I just a man destined for death, or do I deserve it? You died for my sins and that's the verdict. You carried out God's true will and purpose with urgency for the sake of love, forgiveness and eternity. Your grace is enough. I got so many questions, so many things to change. I'm calling out, but sometimes you're far away. I get discouraged and seem to always fall flat, but that's when you pick me up and bring me back.